the links in the article that take them to my book, Map of Shadows. And actually, this is really funny because I've written a number of books that have New Orleans in. And for Valley of Dry Bones, which was a recent book, I wrote a big post about New Orleans. And I've been getting emails from people asking me if I do tours. And I'm like,
have you been to New Orleans?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, no, I live in England, so I don't do tours. But it's really, so that's a really good tip. So is to think about setting. Another thing is to think about, depending on the genre you write, there'll be different things. So, for example, someone came to me and said, well, I write like a supernatural book. It has witches in, but the witches, Wicca, like Wicca earth magic type thing. She said they make tea. They make different types of tea with herbs. I could do recipes about tea because she actually makes them. And then that would tie into cozy mystery writers, or anyone who uses recipes or food in their books could then do recipes on their blog, or do pictures, or do videos on, this is how my character makes this type of cake. So essentially, so those are some ideas. So themes, setting. Then you might also have characters. So again, if a character is a chef, again, you could tie that into content around what they do and how they do it. So those are just some ideas, but you do have to be creative. Another option would be a podcast interviewing authors about those things so that you would attract listeners who are interested. So again, horror writers, I know horror writers who do podcasts around horror movies, because if you would, that's a much bigger niche than books. But if you they enjoy talking about horror movies, but you also attract people who might be interested in the books as well. So the sky's the limit. It's just a case of being more original with your thinking. The biggest problem I see with fiction content marketing is that publicists and traditional publishing have kind of forced authors into these ridiculous blog tours, which I don't see achieve anything. Like, you'd be better writing an article for an Oklahoma tourist site about great spots in Oklahoma than you would be going on a tiny book reviewer website writing the same article, which seems to be what many publishers want.
That makes a lot of sense. It's really kind of ingenious. I cook. I've never had a character that did, though. Maybe I need to change that.
Exactly. Well, what you do, because I've had a look at your bio, is you're like action man. You do a lot of different things. So, I'm sure that many of those things you've done have aspects that are in your book. So, for example, I share a lot of pictures on my site about the travels I go, like, cycling through India, which those ideas appeared in my book, Destroyer of Worlds. So you can tie into your fiction without hammering people over the head with, buy my book. Right.
Which is the temptation, but probably not the most effective content.
Yeah, sideways. You have to kind of slide it in somehow.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we've created all this brilliant content. Now, where do you go with it?
Right. Well, this is where you really have to look at where you are as an author and what you want to achieve. So content marketing is really a long-term play. It's a brand building thing. You might not get direct sales from, like, we're not saying click here now on this podcast and buy this book. This, maybe some people will be interested enough to check out what, our books on writing, for example. But that's the thing with content marketing. It's much harder to track than things like paid ads, which are like, click on this link, buy the book, and I can see that ad has worked. So when in terms of where to put it, my recommendation is to build your own site, or to at least not necessarily build your own site, to have your own website. So not to just do it on, say, Facebook or onto Medium or onto other people's blogs, but actually to build your own brand. Now, this is a lot to do with Google and the way search engine optimization works, and also what you own. So if you own your platform, then the rules won't change. So, for example, a couple of years ago, you could post something on Facebook and it would go out to everyone who had liked your page. Now it's pay to play. So I like to combine paid ads with content marketing. But to me, it's about building your own hub that will last years. So my site, the Creative Penn, is 10 years old now, and I get a lot of traffic because I've put content out for 10 years. So
good content too.
Yeah, thank you. And so in that way, if you're going to do content marketing, it has to be a long-term plan. And also, like for you, we're having a look at the number of books you've written. It becomes much more effective when you have more of a backlist, because if you attract someone who likes legal books, they may well buy your entire backlist.
Well, that's what you're hoping for anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that when people are starting out, this can seem like a big commitment. But as someone who has spent 10 years doing this, there's no way my income would be where it is now. Like I've been a full-time writer now since 2011. There's no way I could have done this and left my day job, if people want to do that, without a website that I own that attracts people that I don't have to pay for anymore. Basically, it brings traffic through content marketing.
If people want to do that, that's what everybody wants to do, isn't it? Ditch the day job and write until you've done it for a while. And then you start thinking, I'm tired of sitting at home all day. Maybe I need to get some kind of job. But that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I love writing. I've written like 28 books at this point, and I will continue to write until I die. I reckon it's my thing, like you, right? And everyone listening. But I can't spend all day, every day writing. So what I actually love about having a podcast, like we're having a chat across the oceans and we're connecting and people are listening, and we are marketing, but we're also connecting as authors and writers and people in this genre and this niche on the internet. So I think content can be much more than just marketing. It can also be part of your community. It can be helping people. It can form all these other different reasons for doing it rather than just marketing the book. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and I like that a lot. What, if I can ask, what kind of things do you put in the paid ads? Because surely that has to be a little more overtly buy my book, or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, if you're doing an Amazon ad, you are advertising your book on Amazon, and you just need a hook of a line. So, for example, Valley of Dry Bones, the tagline is "The Dead Will Rise," and hopefully you'll get that from the cover. It's kind of occult, New Orleans, zombie, whatever. So, yes, when you're doing paid ads on, say, Amazon or Facebook, directly to your book sales page, that's what you're doing. But what happens with paid ads is, if they're effective, you get a click and you get a sale, but you then have to go pay for another click and another sale. So paid ads are a very important part of the book sales environment, but you have to keep doing them. Like the moment you turn them off, your sales are going to go down. Whereas what I've found with content marketing is, by building it up over time, even I've said to my husband, like, even if I get run over by a bus, it will probably take 2 or 3 years for the website to kind of spiral downwards without me adding anything else. So he's got a few years, of income. But I think that's really interesting, because what it means is, if I don't put out another book, like ever, then I still have this asset, and it really is an asset at this point. And I've had offers for my website, because I can continue to generate income. And you and I know what happens with book sales, right? They go up and down, and this year legal thrillers are in, and next year something else is in. And you have to think about having other ways to generate sales than just relying on things like paid ads and things for the long term.
You've mentioned Amazon ads. What about Facebook ads?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook ads definitely have their place. But remember, if people are on Amazon, they are shopping, and there's those, if you're advertising against, say I've written a legal thriller and I go, okay, I'm just going to advertise against your books. I know that people, your legal books, for example, then I will be trying to get people who already like your legal thrillers to buy mine. On Facebook, I can't target your books on Facebook. I'm sorry, Bill, like you and me, we're not big enough. Like we can target Lee Child, but you and I aren't big enough on Facebook, whereas we are big enough on Amazon. So this is really, and anyone is, by the way, that's not, if you have a book on Amazon, you can target it. So I think this is what's so interesting in this environment. I do use Facebook ads, but I mainly use them to kind of warm people up. So, or if I have a deal, so if I've reduced a book on a deal. So when Valley of Dry Bones came out, that's book 10, I put book 9 on a 99-cent deal on Kindle, and then I promoted that on Facebook to people who liked, serpents and snakes and different things like that. So that would be a way to use Facebook ads. You can also use it. You can use paid ads to advertise content. So in my article on New Orleans, for example, I can pay to boost that or just do an ad on it, and that will get people to the article, and then they may click through to my book. But again, the paid advertising, it's a very big area, so that just gives people a taste. But certainly a combination of long-term content marketing and short-term paid ads, I feel, is the most effective in this environment.
That makes a lot of sense. Joanna, if people want to find out more about content-based marketing, you offer a course, don't you?
Yeah, I'm calling it like a mini course because it's more like a little lecture with a lot of ideas for you. So content marketing for fiction. And all my books and courses are at thecreativepenn.com, pen with a double N. So come on over and check that out. Mm-hmm.
Now, let me just say, Joanna, that next month I'm going to be in New Orleans teaching a fiction writing retreat. And, since your books are set there sometime, if you wanted to drop by, that would be perfectly okay.
Thank you so much, Bill.
You bet. Hey, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
No worries.
Wasn't she terrific? I'm going to have her on the podcast again sometime soon. I think we all could learn a lot from her enormous expertise, not to mention her fun and positive attitude. Let me say a word about that New Orleans retreat I mentioned. That's taking place December 9th to the 13th in New Orleans. We've still got space. You want to spend 5 intensive days working on your book, your work in progress, whatever it is, come on down, and that's exactly what we'll do. I would love to have you join us. And of course, registrations are open for next year's Writers Conference, WriterCon 2019. Register before the end of the year and you get an awesome 50% discount. Plus, you can sign up for the Dinners with the Stars and the small group Monday masterclasses before they fill, as they did last year. I always love to hear from people who are listening to the podcast, hear your recommendations and suggestions. Feel free to post about this anywhere you want to, or to send me email. My email address is wb@williambernhardt.com. Until next time, keep writing. And remember, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit.